Bugünkü panelimizde bu bölgedeki yani Orta Doğu ve Afrika bölgesindeki e-ticaretin beklentileri ve zorluklarını masaya yatırıyor olacağız. Çok değerli bir moderatörümüz var. Alkışlarınızla sahneye davet edeceğim. Ben ekranlardan bolca kendisini takip ediyorum ve izliyorum. Bloomberg HT muhabiri Sayın Ersoy Erkazancı geliyor alkışlarınızla. Hoş geldiniz.
Merhaba.
Merhabalar. Konuşmacılarımızı da teker teker sahneye alacağım. MTNC kurucusu ve eski CCO, Squad Amazon Direktörü Sayın Mary Ghobrial geliyor alkışlarınızla. Afrika Sokoni CEO'su ve Afrika'da dijital katılım ve girişimciliğin önemli bir destekçisi olan Ebrima Fatty geliyorlar. Kariyerini Afrika'da dijital pazar yerini geliştirmeye adamış bir profesyonel, Güney Afrika merkezli E-commerce Forum Afrika ve E-commerce Forum South Africa'nın CEO'su Sayın Alastair Tempest geliyorlar. Ve son olarak Afrika'nın önde gelen e-ticaret platformu Jumia Group'ta ticaret başkan yardımcısı olarak görev yapan Sayın Philippe geliyor. Ve ben sözü moderatörüme bırakıyorum.
Burcu bir saniye gitmezdi. Çok kısa bir şey söylemek istiyorum. Eski voleybolcusun, gururla seni seyrediyoruz ama voleybolcularımız yani dünyada bir marka. Evet. O yüzden ben özellikle voleybolcularından senin için bir alkış almak istiyorum.
Evet, filenin sultanları için bir alkış alabiliriz. Çok teşekkürler, sağ olun.
Sorry for the Turkish. I mean, I was celebrating Turkish national team in volleyball. We are number one in globally.
Oh, amazing!
So, women volleyball.
Congratulations.
Okay. Just I'll start first Turkish, then I'll continue English. Merhabalar, hoş geldiniz. Ersoy Erkazancı ben. Bloomberg HT'nin Dubai temsilcisiydim. Gerçi şimdi Londra'ya geçiyoruz ailecek ama bu konferans başlarken Sayın E-İhracat Daire Başkanımız Hasan Önal beni davet etmişti. Bir gururla, bir onurla hani burada sahnede olmaktan çok mutluyum ve bu organizasyonda çok başarılı olduğunu düşünüyorum. Hem katılımcılar açısından da hem de konuşmalar açısından da ben de kendi adıma çok şey öğrendim. Şimdi misafirlerimiz yabancı olduğu için ben İngilizceye geçeceğim. Ama buradaki esas amaç Orta Doğu ve Afrika pazarında Türk ihracatçılar için hangi fırsatlar var onları göreceğiz. I hope you to improve your English. Evet. Do you know any Turkish words? Merhaba, nasılsın? That's okay. No.
Chai. Chai is the only word that I know.
Chai, okay. We can give you chai after this. Okay, now we will have a fun and informative conversation. But I don't like long introductions, so I will ask you to introduce yourself very briefly. Who are you? What are you doing now? We'll make a short tour of 1 minute introductions. Then we will start discussion. So overall it will be 45 minutes. Then I hope you'll have time for some questions. But the main idea, as I told you, we will try to find out what are the opportunities and challenges for either Turkish companies or other companies who wants to come to Middle East or Africa. And by the way, there's such an international speakers now, and Mary is based in Dubai. You are based in Kenya, right? Alastair is based in South Africa, and you are based in Morocco, right? Okay. Amazing, yes. Who are you? What's your story?
Hi. First of all, I'm super excited to be here in Istanbul. My name is Mary. I'm based in Dubai, but I'm originally from Egypt. So a lot of influence from the Turkish people, absolutely. So I started my career in selling soaps in Procter & Gamble in Egypt. But then fast forward, I was very lucky to be one of the co-founders and leadership team of Souk.com, which was the first e-commerce in the Middle East. So I was CEO of the vertical Souk.car and CCO of Souk. Souk.car, we actually brought all of the fashion from Turkey. So from 15 years ago, we were really coming to see the amazing Turkish sellers and Turkish brands and taking them to the Middle East. We scaled Souk.com to almost $1 billion company, and this was the first company ever that Amazon acquires, and we turned it into an Amazon of the Middle East. With Amazon, I was director of global seller program, so whoever was here yesterday spoke to heard Richard talking about the global selling program of Amazon. So I led that and launched it in the Middle East. So in simple terms, we brought sellers from around the world and launched them in the Middle East. And then I got fed up a little bit of the, huge company, because inside of me is the startup mood and the entrepreneurial. So I kind of mixed both between, how do you be an entrepreneur and also learning from all the processes of Amazon. And I started my little company where I do exactly what I know how to do best, which is I look at the brands from around the world and I help them to launch in the Middle East. And these brands could be a brand owner like yourself or a merchant or a bigger company. And I'm proud to be also working very closely with Hepsiburada here in Turkey.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Do you remember which brand you first brought to Dubai?
Oh my God, that's a tough question. But I remember it was a shoe brand that came with a bag. So it was shoes and bags that looked identical. And that was our best selling ever in Sokkar.
Maybe some of the ladies can remember.
So if anyone has shoes and bags, please come to me. Would love to take them on Hepsiburada now.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Now, Ebrima, or shall I call you Ibrahim? I don't know.
The intention is Ibrahim, okay, but it's written as Ebrima. So I'm used to Ebrima, but the intention is Ibrahim. I'm Ibrahim Fatty. I come from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm the founder and CEO of Africa Sokoni. Africa Sokoni is, Sokoni, for example, is Swahili language. It means marketplace. So when you say Africa Sokoni, you're basically saying Africa marketplace. The Africa Sokoni is a B2B marketplace that is strong in fashion, babies and kids, and cosmetics, electronics, etc. We're headquartered in Kenya, Nairobi, and we have presence in some East African countries. And it's an African brand. We actually hope to be in every part of Africa in the near future. Personally, I have a background in finance and IT. I work first in the finance sector. I work with Deloitte & Touche as a senior auditor. I went into international development banking. I work with World Bank, and my last place of work before going into entrepreneurship is Islamic Development Bank. That is where I switched from finance to IT. So when I was leaving Islamic Development Bank, I was the head of the core application team. And then after leaving, I went back to Africa to set up the company, Africa Sokoni. We are almost 6 years now in operation, basically.
Okay, thank you, Ebrima. Alastair, I know you are from Ireland. You lived in Brussels. Now you are in South Africa. Why are you in South Africa? What are you doing in South Africa?
Thank you very much indeed. And I'd like particularly to thank the organizers and the ministry for this, because I wouldn't be here otherwise. I run the e-commerce forum of Africa and also the e-commerce forum of South Africa. We call it a forum, but it's actually they're associations, not-for-profit organizations. And our job is to try and encourage greater trust, try to encourage greater business and trade, and also to look at the international bodies, and particularly within the African context, the African Union and the African Free Trade Area, to see how they can be used to build e-commerce throughout the continent. So this is my job. Previously, as you mentioned, I worked for over 30 years in Brussels as an Irishman. It's a lot better than working in England anyhow. I worked for trade associations there as well. So I am a trade association guy. I look at legislation and all the boring sort of things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alastair. Richard, I want to ask you also what does Jumia means, because souk means çarşı or marketplace, market
yes.
in Arabic. We learned that Sokoni is marketplace. So what does Jumia mean? Is it a marketplace or is it something?
It means community.
Community, okay.
Yeah. So thank you. I mean, thanks for the organization of the Trade of Ministry and for the invitation. always very happy to be in Istanbul because obviously it's represent a big opportunity for us, but also because it's, amazing city. So I work for Jumia. So Jumia is the leading marketplace in Africa. We operate today in 11 markets and in Africa, and we have a similar model as Hepsi Burada, Trendyol, Amazon, Alibaba. So we are a one-stop destination where we offer number of products to our customers, shoes, appliances, phones, etc., etc. And so my role there, I'm vice president, and I'm in charge of everything that is related to supply, assortment, vendor relationship.
Okay, now we know our panelists. Now I want to go into more details so that, for example, we don't know Africa or Middle East very well. So I want you to just define us. I mean, what are the, I don't know, some maybe numbers or specific marketplaces. If somebody asks you, how is the market in Middle East? How do you define it, Mary?
Sure. So first of all, Middle East, obviously you probably know it ranges from Egypt. Sorry, I took a little bit from your Africa, but Egypt all the way to Saudi or the Gulf. And obviously, so it's more than 350 connected people with internet connections, which is super important. The core markets are, as we said, Egypt is for the North Africa, and then Saudi and the UAE that represent for the GCC. By the way, we're not all rich people. We're actually regular, average people. Most of the people in Saudi are also Saudi nationals. Saudi is more than 35 million population on its own, and Egypt is 110 million. So these are the kind of the two extremes. UAE is always also a center of the GCC because it attracts a lot of tourists. So a lot of Chinese and Russians and British people come to the UAE. So that's a little bit the demographics are extremely important because 50% are under the age of 20. So we're very young people. Average household is 5.5. We marry and we get a lot of children. So clearly it is a very important market, but more importantly is e-commerce is still under-penetrated, so less than 20%, and hence is the fastest growing. So there was the latest McKinsey research that states that the MENA and India are the two fastest growing e-commerce in the entire world now. So this represents a huge opportunity for Turkish sellers to come into the Middle East, both e-commerce but also the physical retail. Saudi in particular now is the fastest growing in terms of retail infrastructure. And more importantly than all of that is, unfortunately, we're not a manufacturing geography, and hence we need a lot of the amazing Turkish production and amazing Turkish brands to come and launch. So in summary, we represent a huge opportunity for your growth, and we love Turkish brands and Turkish sellers, so we're happy to take you with us.
And also, I think you like, not you, but in GCC, people like Turkish dramas a lot. Like
Absolutely. Me also. Wait, Kıvanç.
Kıvanç,
absolutely.
She was asking me the name.
He is the most wanted man in the Middle East. So, yes.
But sometimes in Turkey we speak like we are 85 million. But in, for example, UAE is 10 million, Saudi is around 40 million. Sometimes people think that it's not a big market, but income per capita or maybe spend can be higher, right?
Absolutely. So the overall spend is quite high, but more importantly, it's because the demand is high because we don't have local brands. So it's not just about a high disposable income, but it is a high demand.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily, oh, let's just sell expensive. Value is extremely important now. And people are more and more conscious about the valuable brands.
Okay. Ebrima, tell us something about Africa.
According to most policy analysts now, Africa is the next frontier for investment. It is a young market, and the future.
Sorry, can you speak a bit louder? Maybe, I don't know if
Okay, I mean, Africa is the future now. According to a lot of policy analysts, Africa is the next investment frontier. So it's a young continent. It is growing. The population, more than 50% of the population is actually under the age of 19. So it's a young population. And these are the people that are actually tech savvy, and they go online and go to the virtual marketplace. So anyone that is looking at e-exports or the virtual marketplace, Africa is the future. Across the continent, GDP is growing in several African countries. The trajectory for GDP is growth across Africa. Urbanization is coming up. More than 500 million people are expected to actually move to the urban areas by 2035. More than 1.1 billion actually will be middle class income also. Okay. By 2060, so the middle class income is actually increasing. By 2060, it's expected to be 42% of the population will be middle class. So that means a lot of sort of income to spend, okay. And that's a boost to actually the trade also. And across the continent also, initiatives are coming up in terms of the African continental free trade area. The free trade agreements sort of set up a unitary market that's up to 1.3 billion people under that market. It's actually the second largest market in terms of membership after World Trade Organization. It's actually the largest also in terms of population, covering 1.3 billion people. So actually the future is Africa. We have increase in middle class, urbanization is increasing, incomes are increasing, consumer spending and business spending are increasing. The consumer spending is 2.1 trillion last year. Okay. So it's expected to also grow. So all those are in the upward trajectory. So the future is actually there.
Okay. Since you are in the same region, I want to divide into three so that they can have some. I don't want the same words clashes, but he mentioned about middle class. You were also mentioning about middle class, and also Africa is a huge continent. I mean, North Africa, South Africa is different. Some countries are rich, or some countries are rich in terms of minerals. So how do you define Africa?
I think you're absolutely right there. You cannot look at Africa as one place. Oh. It is one continent, but just the same as Asia is one continent full of completely different countries, or even Europe is one continent full of completely different countries. The traditions and the culture of buying, of what they buy, is completely different. What we look at mainly is what would be, let's call, the digitally advanced countries, of which there are around about a dozen out of 55 countries. So the continent of Africa is 55 countries. You've then got around about another dozen countries which have got aspirations to be digitally advanced, and then the rest are smaller countries, some of them vast in area, but without very many populations, which is a completely different story. So I think that's the important thing. What we noticed very clearly was that let's take South Africa as an example. In 2019, less than 2% of retail trade went to e-commerce. Today it's over 6%. So you can see it's really increased. COVID was the game changer. And what it did was not just encourage particularly retail companies to start to deliver at home. So probably the biggest e-commerce company in South Africa is a retail bricks and mortar company called Checkers, which promises a 60-minute delivery within the cities. It's not just that, it's also that trust was built, and people are much more trustful of e-commerce than they were in the past.
Yeah. Okay. Richard, I mean, this year I had a chance to come to, by the way, Morocco, and I see some similarities between Turkey and Morocco. Like, they are the bridge between Africa and Europe. We are a bridge between Europe and Asia. So Can you also tell us a little bit about Morocco? And I'm curious which countries Jumia is active.
So I just want to add something on what my peers were saying, because if people are merchants here, and I want also to get the right message. Africa is a young, growing population, and the market is massive, but it's still a population that has very low incomes.
Low income.
And the GDP per capita has not grown that much in the last 30 years. So us, as platform, as Jumia, what we are looking for are, because today Africa also one of the specificity, and also something that Mary was mentioning, no manufacturer, very under served, poor retail, etc. So what we are looking are partners, vendors, manufacturers that are able to bring products in the market at a low price. And this is very important, because I don't want you guys to think that people in Africa have a lot of money to spend, etc. We can go like on mid-high range, etc. This is not true. They want cheap products, and they want basics products, and this is what we are looking for right now. So when we look at the different markets that we have, the biggest ones are obviously Egypt, Nigeria, and then we have also I would say the second batch will be Morocco, Kenya, Ivory Coast, and Ghana. So what we see is that in those markets, again, the value proposition of e-commerce is big, because most of the people are still living in rural cities, and they don't have access to home appliances, basic t-shirts, shoes, phones, etc. But they need one. Okay, so with our model, we are able to reach those people, and that's why the value proposition for both the partners and the customer is very big in those areas.
Okay, now we have a good overview of Middle East and Africa, and maybe I can define Middle East, maybe less population compared to Africa, but maybe higher income or want to spend more. Africa, bigger population, but less income. They need more, maybe cheaper products. Just for curiosity, here anyone went to Africa? Just I want to see hands, or Middle East. Okay, now anyone who does business already selling something to Africa or Middle East, is there any? Okay, these 3, 4 companies, they are, oh, 5. At the end, we want to hear. Now, okay, we know the overall market. Now, what are the opportunities, challenges? If they want to come to Middle East and Africa, what is missing? So what is your advice?
So I think opportunities, again, we just said it's a huge market. It's a connected market. I mean, the internet connectivity are extremely important, and a high demand for value products. So that's, clearly a summary. And e-commerce is growing very, very fast. So you are, somewhere where you will be able to scale very rapidly. With that said, there are many challenges, of course, particularly for e-commerce. So the payment, for example, we still have a lot of the marketplaces where there is cash on delivery, especially in Egypt and in Saudi. And hence the marketplaces like Jumia, like Noon, like Amazon, and all of these have to still deliver or offer cash on delivery, which is not an easy payment method. Challenges is delivery. Again, it's not all about the central areas, but whether it be Egypt, there's a lot of the rural areas and the governorates, and that's where the real demand is. Similarly, in Saudi, you have to really expand into all of the rural areas to really get to the customer, and the infrastructure is not there yet developed, and the logistics are extremely expensive. So it's very important. If you're doing cross-border, again, the cross-border logistics are very expensive and time, so you need to make sure that you're working with a very strong partner who has a strong operation on the ground, so that you're able to leverage all of their strength areas. So that's in summary. So I think if you are a merchant or you're a brand owner, in my recommendation would be you choose the right partner, ideally a partner who's also here that you already work with in Turkey, who can then take you and choose the right partners in the Middle East. That's the best way and the fastest way for you to scale and to leverage the opportunity that we have in MENA. If you're not only e-commerce, if you're also a retail, then you need to look at who are the big groups, because to scale on a retail basis, you have to make sure that the partner you're working with has a strength and a power to get you a real estate, real estate position to open your store. So it depends on how big you are, where is the brand, where in your brand scale you are, and hence you choose the right partner on the ground.
Okay, I mean, interesting because Turkey is very good in fintech or payment system. Maybe it can be
Yeah,
opportunity for
Turkey has
them.
very high penetration of credit cards. You're almost 100%,
So logistics,
unlike our
yeah.
region.
Or they can like support the companies in Middle East. And just can you give
Yeah.
some idea about like trending topics, or I don't know, you were talking about makeup. Which products or which sector can be more attractive in Middle East?
So there are 3 key categories, and that's public research. Fashion continues to be the number 1 both category online in our region. Beauty is the second largest category, being bought online now. And home is the biggest gap of selection. So while fashion and beauty are the fastest viewing, so more than 50% of the customers that are connected in MENA buy fashion and beauty online. So that's the latest number. And then when you come to look at what are the category gaps, home is particularly the biggest selection gap currently that exists. So home, we mean anything starting from home linens, kitchen, all the way to small kitchen appliances. Like I was just amazing Turkish coffee maker outside, and that's the kind of selection that we're looking for in the region.
Okay. Ebrima, so in Africa, what are the opportunities, challenges, things people do, mistakes, or they shouldn't do?
Okay, in terms of opportunities, I think I've mentioned a lot already.
Yes.
We talk about probably challenges that we can mention, that things that they need to sort of be mindful about. Okay, so when you are entering the African market, as we know, there are income disparities, but across Africa, majority are low income. Of course, you have bigger countries like Nigeria, the Kenya and South Africa and Egypt, but the rest are low income. So when they are entering the market, they should be able to customize the product. Okay, if you are selling this at $10 and your distributor there, your partner there advises you to say, you have competitors that are selling this at 9 or 8, you should be able to customize the product to be able to fit the market so that you can actually penetrate. Okay. So that is one. So because Africa, and also they need to also understand the sort of the culture of doing business in Africa. That is also very important. In that case, I think I agree with her that you should be able to have a partner that you work with that understands the local terrain, to be able to use that as a way to enter the African market. Mm. So they can give you the right advice. Let's say they are distributors. When they have your product, they can actually give you feedback on how the product is doing and what the customers are talking about, what they observe about the product, etc. So this is something that's an advice that can come handy. So, and also you have issues like logistic issues. It will depend on also the partner that you're working with, but generally you have logistic issues. That is something that they should also have to be mindful about. In terms of coming back to the opportunities, really Africa is a young population. This is the truth. Okay. More than 50% are under 19. Okay. So that means that in terms of the digital economy, they're actually more receptive to this. They are highly educated and they are more receptive to the digital economy. So this is something that's an advantage. Okay. It's an advantage.
I have a question for
Yes.
Ibrahim. Is that, do you localize the language? Because, by the way, I lived in Nigeria, for example. I speak Hausa, but on your marketplace, do you use local languages or English?
No, English. We use English only, but it will be important. The people that actually are doing the outreach, the sales guys, the acquisition guys have to actually understand the local language, the local culture. That's the only way they can actually generate demand and also win loyal customers.
So again, for the Middle East, you have to choose a partner because we would use Arabic languages more than 80% in a market like Saudi or Egypt is 90%. So just re-emphasizing the point of choose the right partner to go with.
Okay, exactly. Language can be like a barrier.
Language is, I mean, you need Arabic, of course, and hence if your product doesn't have the right Arabic language, it's an important point.
Exactly. In Africa, they use two languages. The French side will have their website in French and everything in French. The English side will actually use English. We don't choose. I'm not sure about South Africa. South Africa has a strong local distinct. Maybe they use Afrikaner or something. Okay. But the rest of Africa will use English.
Okay. Also, I'm trying to manage the time, so I want to jump into Alastair. So what are the opportunities and challenges?
I think we've talked a lot about the benefits. I would just like to make it clear that there are clear challenges as well. One is lack of infrastructure for transport. So we're delighted to see that Turkey is starting to invest in big infrastructural programs. This is extremely important for us. There is a very serious problem of infrastructure. It means that most things have to go by air, and air is very expensive, as you all know, air cargo. The second one is what we call the digital divide, the fact that an enormous number of Africans are still not connected to the internet, even in countries like South Africa, which are considered to be quite advanced in digitally. And this is partly due to cost. So it's a very weird situation. Out of the 20 cheapest countries in the world for data, 5 of them are African, including Rwanda, which is, I think, 16 cents, whereas 5 are the most expensive countries in the world. You've got this extraordinary difference, this digital divide, which is something which is very difficult. Banking regulations are a pain, and particularly in places like Nigeria, places like South Africa, it does cause a lot of problems. So finding the right, as you said, finding the right partner is really important in those terms.
And Alastair, you were also mentioning about currency problems. In every country, they have different currencies in Africa, right?
So between countries in Africa, nearly always the dollar is used. And that is, of course, firstly, much more expensive because you have to exchange out of, let's say, the rand to the Kenyan shilling and back again. But it also delays everything. So what there is now is a movement towards some sort of digital currency, some perhaps form of trading currency, like the European Union had with the ECU before the euro came along. So there's a lot of discussions about that, which we find very interesting, because there are lots of opportunities there to introduce a completely different, revolutionary, different way of using currencies.
Since you are this thing with the African continental free trade area, they're talking about the Pan-African payment and settlement system. How is that this thing?
So PAPS is a system which was introduced last year. Mm-hmm. It's mainly in West Africa at the moment. And it is a cross-border system using currencies, national currencies. It was the first one. It's easier because you've got the Central African franc there, which is, of course, very important with 9 countries, I think. Okay. But there's also another one in Southern Africa, which is called transactions.
Alastair, sorry for interrupting, but I don't want to go into too much technical and manage the time, so I want to jump into Richard, if you want to mention last point. I want to ask Richard's opportunities and trends. If you want to add something
Yeah.
more.
I was just going to say customs
Cust-
duties and customs facilitation is also a very big issue. So we have a lot of problems with that. And lastly, skills. And you mentioned skills. I think skilling people in the new digital economy is something that is a challenge for us all. And so possibly working with Turkey in that sort of thing would be really useful. Sorry, I ate into your time.
Yes, thank you, Richard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to echo a bit what Mary was saying, but the challenges, obviously, in Africa, logistics, building the trust, building the right experience, etc. But this is our role, and this also, I mean, this is our job. I will say the biggest challenge and opportunity from like a merchant and like Turkish manufacturer standpoint. So, biggest one is going to be able to produce and to deliver low price in the market to make sure that there is a good market fit for our consumer and that people are able to buy those products. Second one is definitely customs, how to handle custom in a smart way. So having the right partner that is going to navigate in this kind of like countries to again make sure that the price is good when it's landed in Africa. And once you're able to do that, because the market is clearly underserved and there is very poor retail, you're able to like take big market shares. And this is what we've already seen with some Turkish partners that we've launched already in our markets. So like within like a few months, they were able to become number one, number two in the category because they were able to address this supply price issue that is big in the market. So it's a massive opportunity once you're able to solve those two issues.
Okay. Now I want to make a quicker tour. So I will ask you, I mean, is there like a success story you want to tell? This company from Turkey came to Middle East and we helped this like this. And I know that you have a new journey, Move the Needle.
Move the Needle.
Why is the name? But if you can, yes.
I mean, Move the Needle it was one of the Amazon kind of leadership skills that we learned, which is don't waste your time doing a lot of small things. Just focus on the big opportunities that move the needle.
Okay.
So things that actually move the needle. Success stories, I mean, from 10 years ago, we actually, Koton is the sponsor. We launched Koton on Souk, and that was one of the biggest Turkish brands to launch. But most recently, we've launched the Hepsi Burada private label, June. And it's doing amazing well on all the different marketplaces in the region, and that's also a very big success story.
And why are they successful? I mean, how?
So as we said, we love Turkish fashion because it's super. Like when I come, I always come and shop here. So I would love to. I'll give you the names of the brands I shop physically, so that you guys please launch it on Hepsi Burada, so we can bring it to our region very quickly. I think the styles are very different, and the price and the quality is outstanding across categories, not only in fashion.
Okay. Do you want to tell any success stories? A company came from Turkey, or it doesn't need to be Turkish companies. And did you have a chance to go out? And if you want to bring something from Turkey to Africa, what would you bring? One or two things? Yeah, I'm asking all of you, one by one. Ibrahim.
Well, Richard already took June, right? So that's done.
No, I mean, in terms of business, definitely I want to say exactly the same category as mentioned by Mary. What we need is fashion. We need home. That's like where there is the biggest opportunity, biggest gap. Also, kids and baby is something that is very important, and this is something that we want to bring up.
Can you repeat? Are you taking notes?
Yes.
Fashion,
home, kids, baby.
Kids, baby, those are like the main category. And it's also, the good news is that it's also categories where Turkish manufacturers are very good at.
Okay. Sir?
One of our members, the Mall for Africa, for women, has just partnered with a Turkish platform in order to sell African cosmetics and women's ointments, etc., into both the EU and also US. I think this is also an important thing, that that Turkey is always the great joiner between Africa on the one hand and the rest of the world on the other. So that is something that anyone who runs platforms here might also look to make agreements with African companies as well. Yeah.
Ebrima?
I've had actually close to 25 B2B meetings across a lot of brands in Turkey. And I have passed on the information that the things that are actually big within the African ecosystem. My colleagues have mentioned already most of it. The fashion, cosmetics, the babies and kids category, and also the FMCG. The FMCG means fast-moving consumer goods. This is something that also is big, and people that want to enter the market with that will certainly, with the right partner that understand the local terrain and that can take care of the local sort of peculiarities, these things will actually definitely.
Okay. Now I want to leave some time for questions, but maybe I want to give last tour for your last sentences. What's the key takeaway message? Or I wanted to tell this. If I don't tell this, I will be angry. I don't know. It's your turn.
I think it's super easy. You've got an amazing brand that we want in the Middle East. So if you are already online here, you are on already a marketplace. So just reach out to me and we'll help you to launch in MENA. If you're not online, get on the Hepsi Burada very quickly. They're sitting here in the front row. And again, we will help you to launch with a one-stop shop in the Middle East. So my colleagues are here, and I guess that's it. So just, get it. It's a growing, very, very growing market, and we want your brand.
Yes, Ebrima, last message.
Last message is, okay, we know entering a new market can be a big task. So it requires patience and actually understanding that it's not going to be a sprint, it's going to be a marathon. Okay. So you need to be a little patient and have a good distributor or partner on the other side to work with. And I think you'll be successful if you.
It's interesting that you mentioned about marathon, because you are very successful in long distance, 10K, 5K, all world records are from your continent. Yes, last message, Alastair.
And I think trade is always two-way, and therefore we're always interested to hear when traders are having problems coming into Africa, so that we can raise this with governments. It's not just that trade should go one way, it's both ways. So today, for example, I heard of the problems that one of the platforms had with banking regulations in South Africa. So we will raise that with the central bank to say, look, why do you do this? What purpose is this serving? So this would be, if you have any issues, please let me know and I'll see what I can do.
Okay, Richard, last message.
So for me, if you think that if you're interested and excited about the African market, if you have like a good products at good prices that could be relevant for African consumer, join on Jumia, try to sell, log in on Jumia and sell on Jumia, or just get in touch with me and we'll help you to select the right products and to enter into Africa markets.
Okay, great conversation, but don't go. I'll leave it for questions. But you have listened, they need our products, they need our technology, so there's a big collaboration areas between Middle East, Africa and Turkey. Now, anyone, yes, do we have a microphone? Yes, pardon, rica edeceğim öndeki hanımefendi. Bir de kendinizi tanıtıp özellikle sormak istediğiniz biri varsa söylerseniz sevinirim.
First of all, I'd like to thank you on behalf of my nation for your interest in Turkish brands. I'd like to ask all of you first what I do. We have brands we have 3 brands and we're launching new brands because we love to make history. Stories of the brands. We are producing activewear products for women, and we also make second-hand luxury fashion. We sell, and also.
Sorry, can we also learn the brand so that we can market
Yeah,
your
of
brand?
course,
What's the name of the brand?
Our own production is called Monolu, monolu.com we have, and also we are launched in Amazon MENA, and we have launched in Trendyol MENA region and all the other regions. My question is about, in fact, to all of you. What do you think your consumers' behavior about the products, the Turkish products? I think Richard make it clear with saying good prices and good quality. But I'd like to ask what I think of is, what does your regions think about the Turkish brands? To make it clear with an example, think about Huawei and Apple. We, as Turkish people, we use Chinese products and we love Chinese products. But when we buy Story, we wouldn't buy a Story from China. We would buy it from USA. We would buy from Europe, you know.
Yeah.
So our products, for example, Huawei can make the same product as Apple,
Okay.
but we would pay Huawei for the product's quality, not the story of it. But we would pay it for Apple. So do you think there would be a penetration in high-end fashion in your regions with Turkish brands? I hope I made.
Thank
me
you.
take-
What was your name? Sorry, by the way.
I'm Rabia.
Rabia.
I can take
we don't
this
have
one.
time for everybody, so
Yeah, I think you said the story. I think the Turkish drama is very highly penetrated in the Middle East. I don't know about Africa, so you are already telling the story, and Turkish brands mean good quality at a very good value. It's also very relevant because most of the Middle East is a Muslim country, so the fashion that you sell is a more relevant and acceptable fashion. So the image perception of the brand equity is very relevant, good quality at a good price.
So you think
It's not Chinese, basically. It's not
Yeah.
Chinese perception is just
yeah, it's
cheap.
better. Yes.
You're not seen as cheap. You're seen
Yeah.
as relevant value brands.
But do you think we can make a position in the high-end fashion
We have a
market?
lot of high-end fashion. We have Kismet by Milka, which is high-end jewelry. It's in all the stores. We have Ipikyol has opened in Dubai Mall. So we have a lot of high-end fashion.
Okay.
So the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, do it. We will sell
Okay,
it.
thank you. Actual time is over, but maybe we can have one more question. Buradaki beyefendiye.
Merhabalar. Yalnız İngilizcem biraz zayıf.
Ben tercüme edeyim sonra. Siz önce kendinizi de tanıtırsanız.
Merhabalar, ben Yunus. Deri sektörüyle uğraşıyorum. Aynı zamanda Etsy'de deri mağazam bulunmakta. Sorum şu, yeni bir inovasyon yaptım genç girişimcimle. Deriye dair her şey olan bir mağaza geliştirdim. Bu mağazayı ve bu sektörü Amazon'da geliştirmek istiyorum. Bu mümkünse kendileriyle iş birliği yapmak istiyorum. Mümkünse.
Tamam, ben bunu yapayım ama sonra sen şeyden sonra konuş. Hani bir şey değil. He is in leather business and he has innovation in leather business, but especially he wants to grow this. So maybe after the panel, he wants you can talk
Absolutely.
together.
Absolutely.
Teşekkür ederim. Biraz zamanla yönetiyorum. Sonra panelistlerle
Kendileriyle
yapabilirsin.
tanışıp işbirliği yapmak istiyorum.
Tamam, he wants to collaborate with you. So
Sure.
After the
Would
panel.
love to.
Hadi son bir soru daha alalım. Arkadaki beyefendi gözlüklü. Şu tarafta.
Hi, I just had a question from a customer perspective. In most international markets in US, MENA region, etc., they all have payment infrastructures which allows the customer to pay in installments. That does not seem to be an option in Africa. And in building e-commerce, you know, volume is a big part of it. Like, do you guys have any work in the background where you're trying to build infrastructures that allow customers to make payments in installments, considering Africa is a low-income region.
Yeah.
Who wanna answer?
Yeah,
Alastair.
we have actually a new company that set up last year, which is Pay Just Now or something. I can't remember exactly. It's doing exactly
Buy
that.
and pay later.
Yeah. So I think one of the big things that sort of we skirted around a bit is that Africa, in terms of fintechs, all the different things that fintechs does, Pay Just Now, all these sorts of things, is really leading. It's sharp end stuff, which is really great. So talking about how new payment systems are made, etc., this is something that's Africa has been leading on for a long time.
And
So,
Tab,
of course.
I mean, in Egypt, we have a lot of
Yeah, it's-
installments.
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
actually represents more than
absolutely,
25% of the GMV sold. It's all by installments.
Yes, that was my
Okay.
concern, because in Egypt and in GCC
Egypt-
region we have like Tabi, etc.
Exactly.
And then in the international markets we have Klarna, PayPal, etc. But in Africa, in the sense with Ibrahim, we have M-Pesa, which is a leading market payment structure system. But it's not been developed yet. Is that something that is in the background that you guys are pushing for? Or?
Excuse me, Mary has to catch her plane, and if the MC is here, it means time is out. So can you talk after the panel? I want to thank you, everybody, and a big applause to Mary, Ebrima,
you.
Alastair,
Thank you so
Richard.
much. Thank you.
Thank you for listening.